Last week I finished up the sails for Skylark, and I have currently finished about 6 of the 10 blocks that I need for the rigging. The other thing is that currently Heartland Fabrication is working on my trailer for the Haven. I designed this trailer and I'm having them fabricate it for me. So while I'm waiting for the trailer to get finished up, there's a few things that I can do before I need to have the boat outside in order to stand the mast up and to finish up some of the rigging. And that is for the shrouds and the forestay. So that's what we're going to work on today. So I have here the plans, sail plan for the boat. And what I'm talking about are the forestay, which is this cable that goes from here up to the top of the mast. And then the shrouds, which are on both the port and starboard side, go right here up to the mast. And these 3 cables are what support that mast. The forestay attaches to this plate here at the stem. And the shrouds attach here to these chain plates that are, as I said, on both the port and starboard side. So what we need for those 3, the shrouds and the forestay, are some turnbuckles. And of course, what I'd like to use for the boat are bronze turnbuckles. So fortunately, a couple of years ago, when I was looking around on the internet on eBay, I found a collection of some old bronze turnbuckles. So I purchased them. So let me show you what they look like. So here are these turnbuckles that I purchased. Now there's a variety of them in here, different sizes. Some of them are open, like these here. This is another open one. And some of them are closing. See, some of them were just really pretty crappy parts that really aren't useful. There's some clevis pins that it came with. What I did find, though, was that I had, so what I would prefer as to these open ones are these closed ones. Now, in talking to some people that know much more about rigging than I, that these are preferable in that things can't get caught in there, like a line or something like that. So, I don't have 3 of them that match here. So I did have these 3 that match pretty well. These 2 are pretty much exactly identical. And then this one is the same size buckle in here, but it was missing part of it here. Now, fortunately, so some of you may know how turnbuckles work, is that on one end there are right-hand threads and one has left-hand threads. So right-hand threads are what typically a bolt has. So for example, this one here is a left hand, I believe, because it's coming out. So this would be a right-hand one then. If I turn it right, it goes in. So what I need to do then is to create another piece that goes in here. Now fortunately, this is the left-hand part on this side, and what is missing is the right-hand part. Now these are 5/16 inch shafts, and so I actually have a piece of 5/16 inch bronze here. This actually was a carriage bolt from one of the parts, I don't know what, but it was extra. So I have clearly enough unthreaded part here that I can thread that. Now I'll do that with a die. What I discovered was with this tap, which is a 5/16 24, that goes in there perfectly, like that. So then I knew that that's what size threads I need, are a 5/16 24. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to thread the end of this rod. Now the end of it, which I'll want to make it so that it'll match these 2, I'll take a piece of bronze and turn that on my lathe and make that piece and then silver solder it on there. So that's my first task, is I'm going to get this threaded so that it'll match this turnbuckle. So these two that match I'll use for the shrouds, and then this one that's a little bit different head I'll use for the forestay. So many times I'm asked about some of the tools that I have, and this is a die set that I have, and I actually bought it off of eBay, and I actually have 21 different dies for it. It's made by Little Giant, and there's actually quite a few of them on eBay. I just recently looked. But what I like about this is that one of the hard things about putting threads on a rod is getting it started so that you're not going crooked. What's nice about this is it has a guide in here to get started. So if you remember, I said that the shaft I needed was 5/16. So you can see this is a 5/16 guide, and the die itself, you can see here, is 5/16 with 24 threads. So not only can this guide help, but also you can change a set screw in here to tighten or loosen the amount that the threads cut. So if you had a very one that fit kind of tight, you could move those jaws in just a little bit so you could take a little bit more off. So I really like this tool. They're really quite hard to find, and actually if you were to go out and buy a brand new set, they're in the thousands of dollars. I think my set, I paid somewhere around $40 for it. So if you're interested in having a really good set of dies, I would recommend you look for these Little Giant die sets. Well, I was just getting ready to turn down this little piece of bronze that I have down to 5/8 for the top of that turnbuckle, but the belt to my little lathe here broke, so I'll need to order a new one. So I think in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll call my friend Steve and see if he can turn it on his lathe for me.
You know, I'm going to face that off because it's a little bit off and it's throwing the drill.
Oh, okay. We used a 9/32 drill and then hand turned the lathe for tapping the threads. I've got my two pieces made now, you can see. So here's my threaded rod, and here's the little piece of bronze that Steve helped me turn down, and then we tapped it. So this will go in here like this, and then this of course will go into the top of the turnbuckle there. You can see that these two, one of them I've already polished up and cleaned up. So now what I need to do is I need to cut a slot in the top of this like I have here, and then of course I'll need to put a hole through it like that. So that'll be my next step, is to get that slot cut in there. I drilled a 5/8 hole into some pine. We had turned the bronze just slightly oversized so it would be a nice tight fit into this hole. With this method, it will hold that bronze piece securely when I cut the slot in it. I then took it over to the belt sander and cleaned up and squared it up. So what I've done here is I've transferred a bunch of lines on the back of this little board. You can see that I've figured out what that size that slot needs to be. And then I've transferred those to the front here so that when I put it through the table saw, I can see that. And then I've also transferred lines as to how deep it needs to go. And I've also added a little point here where I can drill the hole through here, which will go this way like that. So my next step is to get the table saw set up, with the metal cutting blade to cut that notch in there. This blade is made specifically for cutting non-ferrous metal like bronze. How it differs from a regular blade is that it has a lot more teeth. This one has 48 total. Also, the teeth are flat on the edges, so that the kerf cut is square, where most wood blades have a slight angle to the top of the tooth. In the past, viewers have suggested that I use a chemical remover to remove the patina. I'm not a fan of chemical removers as it does discolor the bronze and then it is quite difficult to polish out. I'm sanding these parts as there are a lot of usage wear that would not polish out. By sanding it, I was able to get a good smooth finish. The belt sander has a 120 grit belt on it. After I do that, I then always finish them off on the drum sander, which has a 320 grit belt. On the buffing wheel, I use two different stages of compounds. I start with an emery, which cuts pretty quickly, and then I switch to a polishing compound that finishes it off nicely. So here are our finished turnbuckles. Of course, these two are for the shrouds, and this one is for the forestay. Now this part here will attach to the stem band at the stem of the boat, and then at this point is where the forestay cable will be attached. And it'll be attached with the cable like this one here, and we have a cable eye that's on the end of it, and that will go into this top of it like that, and then it'll get secured with a clevis pin like this. So let me show you how we make this cable eye. So to make the eye on the cable, we need a couple of pieces. We of course have to have our cable, and we have an aluminum ferrule here and a thimble. This is stainless steel. Of course the cable is stainless steel. And then basically what this is we feed this. I've got a little piece of tape on the end here. What I do is I tape the whole thing before I cut it. That way the cable doesn't unravel. So this little ferrule goes on here like so, and we loop it and come back through there, and then we tighten that up so that we can put this thimble in there, and the idea is to get that tightened down on it. There we go. Now we got that on there nice and tight. Now all I need to do is use the sledging tool, which is this tool here, and it comes, there are different sizes in here depending on what size your ferrule is. This one will go into the number 3. Open enough I can get it in there. Now I want to do this 2 times. So the first one I put close to the edge. Hope we can see that. And then it's a matter of coming down and then we'll get the other one right here. So that's how we make our cable eye. Now the top end of the cable gets a clevis-in swage fitting like this, and it simply fits over the top of the cable like so, and it too will get swagged with the swagger in a couple of spots like this, and that will attach then to the top of the mast, and it'll fit right on here like that, and then a clevis pin will go through there. So that's how it'll get attached to the mast, is there. So this is of course for the forestay, and then these two are for the shrouds. So now I'm not going to attach those on just yet because I want to get the boat outside and get the mast set up so I can determine exactly what that length will be. So we'll do that once we get the boat outside. So the forestay attaches here to the stem band with a clevis pin like this. And we'll put a cotter pin on the back side of it. Now I've got the cable just sort of strung up there against my hook just for a demonstration, because we'll need to have the mast in the boat to really get the proper length of that cable, which of course we will do as soon as we get a trailer for the boat so that we can have it outside. So that's what's coming up next for the next episode. Is the trailer is almost completely finished being fabricated, and I should be able to pick it up and do all of the finish work in the next episode and get the boat put on top of the trailer. That way we can get it outside and get the rigging all completed. So as always, thanks for watching, and remember, if you're going to make it beautiful.